So since Clone Wars Season 7 premiered on Disney Plus, I have been doing videos on this channel reviewing every episode. With this video, I want to do my Season 7 review. My review of pretty much the entire season as a whole and my thoughts on it. If you want individual reviews for each individual episode, of course you can always go check those out. But I wanted to give my thoughts on Season 7. So first and foremost, the season was very highly anticipated. I felt like Season 5 and 6 were probably, to me, the peak of Clone Wars. To me, Season 5 just was phenomenally written. And I think Season 6 had some of the best episodes. And dare I say, even some of the best stories in Star Wars. I mean, that whole, arc with the inhibitor chip malfunctioning and that whole arc with Yoda and, talking to Qui-Gon's ghost at the end of the series, that to me was just an absolutely fantastic finale to that season. And what made Season 7 great was the finale, or should I say what made it good. The first arc, the whole Bad Batch arc, to me was interesting, but it really didn't have a big payoff in the future. I didn't notice how that tied into, to the end of the series, to the Clone Wars Season 7 finale. I didn't notice that. I didn't see what the tie-in was. I know that was a story that Filoni had come up with many years ago, but it didn't really fit with the remainder of the season as far as what they were going to do. Now, when we get to the second arc, which is the arc where Ahsoka comes back and meets the two sisters, that at least got interesting because we had Ahsoka, back in the story, reunited with her friends and going on an adventure, but it still sort of felt like it dragged a bit, and it got kind of annoying, honestly. It really did. I could see this being sort of a platform for a future Star Wars TV show, maybe the one with the all-female cast that's been, talked about. Maybe they could do that, but to me, the Pike stuff was interesting, and the teaser for Darth Maul was interesting, but that sort of felt like a setup for the final 4 episodes. Honest to God, the final 4 episodes of Clone Wars was some of the best Star Wars stuff we've seen in a really, really long time. I would actually say since, The Mandalorian. But besides Mandalorian, put that aside for a second, for prequel era stuff, I feel like it was probably about as good as you're going to get. Now, do I think it was better than Season 6's finale? I think it hit in the feels, for sure. It was very powerful. In some ways it was. However, the Yoda stuff was just so great and added such lore, and to me was just really, really good stuff. So it's tough to say. Now, the reality is that Season 7 of Clone Wars is not as good as Season 5 and 4. It's just not. That's just how I feel, and that's how I'm going to feel about it forever, because I've already seen these episodes, and maybe I'll revisit them again in the future, but outside of the last 4 episodes, you really could skip most of it. I mean, honestly, you could. Even the build-up to Darth Maul was not really necessary to understand the story of Darth Maul coming back and his disagreements / debates / issues with Ahsoka Tano. So, ultimately, the last 4 episodes, I feel like should have probably been just one little mini movie, the end of the Clone Wars, and then that's it. I was a little bit disappointed in the last episode, mostly because I was kind of hoping to see more of the Jedi Purge stuff, even though it may not really be important for this story. I was hoping to see more of it, and I do feel like at some point we're probably going to get another series or another little mini movie or a mini series or something like that covering the Jedi Purge, because I really do want to see Vader actually going out there with the clones and hunting down and killing the Jedi. We have to see that. The final scene in Season 7 of Clone Wars with Vader holding that lightsaber and looking up into the skies and wondering what happened to Ahsoka was very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. One that, obviously would lead into the events of Rebels, but it just shows that, even Ahsoka, who always saw good in Anakin, who even though she did not like the Jedi Order, she always had a soft spot for Anakin, even she may be gone from Anakin's life, or at least that's what he felt at that time, that she's, he recognized that lightsaber and his whole world has been turned upside down. The way he grew up, just imagine growing up, being a Jedi Knight, and then you make this very irrational decision based on fear, which is what a lot of people do in the real world, and you lose everything, including your wife. I mean, it's just, it's mind-blowing. It's it's actually really powerful stuff when you really think about it. I'm not a big fan of the prequels, but it is powerful and relatable stuff. Hopefully that'll never happen to any of us, but we do make decisions out of fear. And I just felt like there was so much good in the last 4 episodes that they should have probably focused more on that. I do think that the effects and the way that the computer graphics was so much better in the previous seasons. Like the first couple seasons were a little bit choppy. This to me felt good. It felt like realistic movements. Of course, you had Ray Park actually doing the motion capture for Darth Maul. So it was actually Darth Maul playing Darth Maul. Even though they didn't do the voice, it's still Darth Maul. Just really fantastic stuff, and it really makes me want to go and revisit Rebels. I always felt Clone Wars was better than Rebels, but there are things in Rebels that I really did enjoy, especially Season 2. That was my favorite. Season 3 was okay too, and the Darksaber. Now it all kind of means more because the Darksaber is back in The Mandalorian, so there's a lot more interesting stuff going on now than there was before, but Dave Filoni seems to definitely have an idea of how to make Star Wars good. Even though, again, there are some plot issues. Obviously General Grievous not recognizing Anakin, even though they knew each other in Clone Wars, but in Revenge of the Sith, he's like, I expect you to be a bit older, and then Anakin saying, you're shorter than I expected. Like, what this guy looks like. You've seen him before. Things like that don't really tie in is quite a bit annoying. And, the whole thing where Anakin tells Dooku, my powers have doubled. We all assumed that was from episode 2, right? But no, there's a bunch of other fights between them in Clone Wars, and to me it was just not really necessary. But Clone Wars does help really add to Anakin's character, and really Ahsoka Tano's. And so this really hit hard. But it was, again, the first 8 episodes you can honestly skip. I'm just keeping it real with you. But if you are a Star Wars fan, even a casual, you'll want to watch the last 4. Even if you don't watch Clone Wars at all, there are other episodes and seasons that I do recommend, like 4 and 5 and 6. But I'm telling you, this is must see, especially if you like Revenge of the Sith. You'll find a lot to love here. What do you think? Let me know what you think about Clone Wars Season 7. Those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you very, very soon about whatever we have to talk about. But I look forward to hearing your comments down below, and I'll catch you down the road.